I thought my wife and I were finally making progress in our relationship when she told me about the anniversary party she was organizing for me. However, I soon realized it was all part of a cruel scheme, her way of publicly humiliating me while announcing her plans to divorce me and move in with her boss. But things took an unexpected turn when her overly indulgent family reacted in a way she hadn't anticipated, forcing her to reconsider everything. I'm a 25-year-old man, and I've been married to my wife, Veronica, who is also 25, for 3 years. We've been together for 6 years, but now we're heading toward divorce, and she's putting all the blame on me, which I find completely unfair. The reason for our divorce is not just that she had an affair with her boss, but also because she thought it would be a brilliant idea to announce it at our anniversary party in front of all our loved ones, effectively trying to humiliate me. Fortunately, things didn't go as she had planned, and now she's desperately trying to backtrack and convince me to fix things. Our marriage had been rocky for over a year, and a lot of it was due to her family. This wasn't something new. I had always clashed with them, but the situation escalated when they started pressuring us to have a baby. Veronica went along with it, even though I made it clear that I wasn't ready. Financially, I didn't think we were in the right place yet, and I had no intention of relying on her family for support, unlike Veronica, who seemed completely comfortable with it. Her family already looked down on me, and they had been that way since the moment I started dating her, as they never thought I could meet their high expectations. Veronica comes from a wealthy background. Her parents are both doctors, and her 2 older brothers are highly successful. Naturally, she was spoiled her whole life. Even back in college, I knew I wouldn't be able to provide the same luxurious lifestyle she was accustomed to, at least not anytime soon. This was never about feeling inferior. I was simply being realistic. I was raised by a single mother who worked hard to provide for me, and I take my career very seriously. I want to establish myself professionally before even thinking about having kids. At 25, I don't feel rushed, and I don't believe we're financially stable enough to support a child while maintaining our current lifestyle. To me, this was an obvious and logical stance. But for some reason, Veronica refused to even acknowledge my point of view. Since her parents believed it was time for her to have a child simply because we had been married for nearly 3 years, she saw it as something that had to be done, without considering the consequences. This disagreement became the core of our arguments. She was determined to have a baby, and I was equally determined not to rush into something I wasn't prepared for. Our fights went on for months, and her family only made things worse, constantly offering to cover all financial aspects if we had a baby. While Veronica saw this as a generous offer, I saw it as another way for them to control our lives. Given how they had treated me in the past, their offer didn't feel like support. It felt like an insult. From the very beginning, my in-laws have never hidden their disapproval of me. They made it clear that they didn't think I was good enough for Veronica simply because I didn't come from money like they did. Their snobbish attitude wasn't subtle. They openly treated me as an outsider, never truly welcoming me into the family. Even now, despite pushing their daughter to have a child with me, I don't believe they genuinely accept me. To me, it seems like they're just looking for a grandchild to entertain themselves with rather than caring about our marriage. That's why I refused to take any financial help from them. It would have felt humiliating. But of course, Veronica saw my refusal as pure ego and selfishness. She believed I was just being difficult because I didn't like her family, even though I had valid reasons for feeling the way I did. This disagreement became a frequent topic of our arguments, and as you can imagine, the past few months have been incredibly rough. The only reason I hadn't seriously considered divorce before was that, after every fight, she would eventually try to make it up to me. We kept falling back into the same toxic cycle. Despite knowing how unhealthy it was, I still loved her, so I wasn't ready to walk away. But after what happened recently, I don't think I have a choice anymore. For the past few weeks leading up to our 3rd wedding anniversary, Veronica had been unusually kind to me. She even told me she was planning a special party for us. Since we hadn't fought in almost a month, I actually started believing that maybe things were getting better, that maybe she was finally beginning to see my perspective. I was genuinely looking forward to the party, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. The party took place 4 days ago, and now everything is an absolute disaster. That night, all our friends and family were there, and things were going well, at least at first. But everything changed the moment her boss walked in. It was as if Veronica had instantly switched roles, from being my wife to being his. The second he arrived, she abandoned my side, acting overly affectionate with him right in front of everyone. To make matters worse, he was responding the same way. It was surreal, and I was too stunned to react. Then, just minutes after her boss arrived, Veronica grabbed everyone's attention for a speech. I assumed it would be something about me. Technically, it was, but definitely not in the way I had expected. She began by reminiscing about our 6 years together, mentioning that we'd shared some great memories. But then, she shifted the topic to how she had wanted to start a family while I kept refusing. No matter how much she tried to convince me, I just wouldn't agree. At that moment, I started feeling like something was seriously off. This was extremely personal, and I couldn't understand why Veronica thought it was appropriate to share it with a room full of people. I tried to interrupt her, asking her to stop, but she just kept going, airing out all of our private issues for everyone to hear. The way she framed everything made me look like the villain, and I could feel the judgmental stares from our guests. But just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. She went on to say that she had grown exhausted from all the fighting, and the stress had taken such a toll on her that she ended up breaking down at work. That was when her boss, Nathan, a 39-year-old man, stepped in to comfort her. But instead of treating it like a professional issue, he acted as a friend, and according to her, that's when their bond started to form. This had apparently happened about a month ago, and within a week, they were spending nearly all their time together, both during and after work. She described how they would talk for hours, and before she knew it, she started feeling like she had made a mistake by marrying me. Nathan, in her words, was the perfect man for her in every way. Then she delivered the final blow. She announced that she had wasted enough years with me, but now she was ready to be with someone who truly understood her. She said I had hurt her over the past few months, and on our 3rd anniversary, she was setting me free because she was leaving me to move in with Nathan. I froze. Even now, when I think back to that moment, my mind goes blank. It's not that I had nothing to say. I was heartbroken, humiliated, and furious, but I was so shocked that I couldn't even process my emotions properly, let alone put them into words. And since I wasn't saying anything, the entire room fell silent. No one spoke for what felt like an eternity, until my in-laws unexpectedly broke the silence. Up until this point, Veronica's parents had done nothing but spoil her. They had never sided with me on anything, so I never expected them to react the way they did. But as soon as she finished speaking, my father-in-law stood up and said that what she had done was disgusting and disgraceful. He told her that he no longer wanted anything to do with her, and before she could respond, he walked out. Her mother followed right behind him without looking back. Veronica, clearly stunned by their reaction, turned to her brothers for support, but they refused to back her up. Instead, they told her that what she had done was appalling and that they couldn't stand by her after this. One by one, they also left. The room had become unbearably awkward, and with her family walking out, the rest of the guests started quietly slipping away as well. No one knew what to say, and honestly, there was nothing left to say. Eventually, I managed to snap out of my daze, and the moment I did, I turned to Veronica and told her I wanted her out of the house immediately. I didn't want to see her face or deal with her any longer. She didn't argue. Instead, she simply went to our room and began packing her belongings, with Nathan helping her. Less than an hour later, the two of them were gone. The only two people who stayed with me after the party were my mother and my younger brother. My older brother, who lives out of state, couldn't fully grasp the situation from afar. Once Veronica and Nathan were gone, my mom and brother were the ones who let me break down, cry on their shoulders, and comforted me for hours. My brother left the next day, but my mother has stayed with me since then, and even my older brother has been keeping in touch. At the very least, their support has helped me not feel completely alone. They've already connected me with an attorney, and in a few days, I'll be filing for divorce. But right now, I don't know what to think or do. Right after everything happened, I was absolutely certain that I wanted nothing more to do with Veronica. I never wanted to see her again. But 2 days ago, she reached out to me, begging for forgiveness. She admitted that she had made a huge mistake, claiming that she only did all of this to get back at me for how she felt I had been treating her. She told me she had been hurt, and in her desperation, she went too far. She even sent proof that she had quit her job and assured me that she had completely cut ties with Nathan. Right now, she's staying with a friend, and she insists that the entire situation was just a misguided attempt to get my attention and make me jealous. She swears that her relationship with Nathan was purely emotional, but at this point, I can't bring myself to trust anything she says, not after everything that's happened. Now, she's been pushing for us to go to marriage counseling and give our relationship another chance. She keeps bringing up how long we've been together, how much we've been through, and how we've always managed to come out stronger. She truly believes we owe it to each other to try again. She's also opened up about how she had been feeling completely misunderstood in the past few months, and that the constant fighting had exhausted her, leading her to do something extreme. She deeply regrets it, but she believes we can fix things if we're both willing to try. Hearing all of this has been overwhelming. I feel completely torn, especially since she's also brought up things she thinks I did wrong in our marriage. Apparently, she believes I had been emotionally distant from her, and she blames my strained relationship with her family as one of the main reasons we fought so much. She claims that while she made a lot of effort to get along with my family, I never made the same effort with hers. But I don't think that's a fair comparison. My family never looked down on her the way hers did to me. That said, I do acknowledge that I had been distant from her recently. But it was only because we were constantly fighting, and I figured that by avoiding too much interaction, we could at least avoid more arguments. However, I still believe that nothing I did could possibly justify what she did to me. My friends and family feel the same way. In fact, my mother even suggested that Veronica's sudden change of heart might have less to do with me and more to do with her family's reaction. After all, her parents were furious and completely cut her off after what she did. If she wants to reconcile with me, is it really because she regrets her actions? Or is it because she doesn't want to lose access to her family's wealth? I don't even know what to believe anymore. You're absolutely not the arsehole for being emotionally distant or for not making an extra effort with her family. Given the way they treated you, it's completely understandable why you didn't bend over backward to win their approval. Respect is a two-way street, and they never showed you any from the start. You weren't obligated to force a connection with people who clearly looked down on you. As for your emotional distance, that was a natural response to the toxic cycle of constant fighting. You weren't maliciously ignoring her or shutting her out for no reason. You were trying to minimize conflict in a situation where she refused to listen to you. If anything, it was a coping mechanism, not neglect. Now, onto your update. Good for you. You handled that response perfectly. You acknowledged your own feelings, pointed out her hypocrisy, and refused to let her manipulate you. You were not the one who humiliated her in front of everyone. She did that to you. And trying to shift even a fraction of the blame onto you is pure gaslighting. You also hit the nail on the head about her family. They didn't suddenly stand up for you because they accepted you. They were simply furious that she made them look bad. Their reaction wasn't about defending you. It was about protecting their own reputation. If Veronica truly believed they had accepted you, she wouldn't have spent so much time letting them disrespect you throughout your relationship. At this point, you've seen Veronica for who she really is. She was willing to publicly humiliate you, betray your trust, and then only apologize when it all backfired. If her family had supported her decision, would she have come crawling back? Probably not. So, don't doubt yourself. You did nothing wrong. You were in a no-win situation from the start, and the fact that you still tried to make it work shows how much you cared. But now, you owe it to yourself to walk away for good. Keep focusing on the divorce. Lean on the people who genuinely support you, and don't give her another chance to hurt you again. You handled that situation with complete clarity and self-respect. You were honest, direct, and didn't sugarcoat anything, and that's exactly what was needed. You laid out the truth about her manipulative tendencies and how she's always been under her family's influence. The fact that she only started pushing for a baby after her parents pressured her is proof enough. You overlooked these things in the past because you loved her, but now that the blinders are off, it's clear that she was never truly independent in her decisions. Filing for divorce before she even had a chance to manipulate you further was the best move you could have made. You took control of the situation, and by keeping the divorce terms fair and equal, you made it impossible for her to play the victim. No alimony, no drawn-out legal battle, just a clean break. That's a win for you. Update 2 reaction. Veronica showing up furious proves one thing. She wasn't expecting you to stand your ground. She thought she could guilt trip, manipulate, or emotionally wear you down into giving her another chance. But when she realized you were done, she panicked. Her first instinct was to scream at you, which tells you everything you need to know. If she was truly remorseful, she would have come with a sincere apology, not rage and entitlement. She wanted control, not reconciliation. And her argument about the house, that's just an excuse to force a confrontation. But you shutting her down with pure logic was perfect. You reminded her that she had said some pretty terrible things about you publicly. So why is she suddenly shocked that you were just as brutally honest in private? That's real accountability, and she clearly can't handle it. At this point, you owe her nothing. She made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences. Keep your focus on finalizing the divorce and moving forward. She's not upset because she lost you. She's upset because she lost control. You handled that with absolute maturity and self-respect. Veronica is still stuck in her pattern of manipulation, thinking that if she yells loud enough, guilts you enough, or makes dramatic gestures, like quitting her job, she can force you into taking her back. But actions don't erase the damage done, and her temper tantrum only proves that she hasn't changed. She's just desperate to regain control. What you did right. You didn't engage in her screaming match. You stood your ground, let her burn out, and responded with calm, rational truth. That completely disarmed her, because she expected to drag you into an emotional fight. You acknowledged the reality of your relationship. You've always been the one compromising, adjusting, and trying to be what she wanted, while she never put in the same effort for you. That's not a partnership. That's one-sided sacrifice. You recognized her long-standing pattern of behavior. What she did with Nathan wasn't new. It was just an extreme version of her old habits. Her constant flirting, jealousy games, and entitlement were all warning signs that she never grew past her immature mindset. And now, she's paying the price for it. You chose self-respect over love. This is the hardest part, but also the most important. Love isn't enough when you're the only one carrying the weight of the relationship. You finally saw things for what they were, and instead of falling back into the cycle, you chose to walk away for good. Final thoughts. The fact that she immediately resorted to yelling and cursing instead of coming in with genuine remorse says everything. She wasn't looking to make things right. She was looking to regain control. And when she realized you weren't budging, she had no idea how to handle it. Now that you've firmly told her to leave you alone, stick to it. She will likely try again, maybe through guilt, nostalgia, or promises to change, but stay strong. You owe it to yourself to move forward without her. This marriage wasn't healthy, and deep down, you already know that letting go is the best thing for you. Next steps. Block her number if necessary. You don't need to hear more emotional manipulation. Finalize the divorce as soon as possible. The quicker it's done, the sooner you can move on. Take time to heal. You've been through a lot, and it's okay to process everything at your own pace. This isn't just a breakup. It's a breakaway from a toxic cycle. And you should be proud of yourself for standing up for your worth. First off, congratulations on officially being free. You handled this entire situation with maturity, dignity, and self-respect, while Veronica kept proving over and over why divorcing her was the best decision you could have made. Breaking it down. Her "you'll regret this" speech was pure ego. Veronica truly believed you couldn't live without her, but the reality is, you're thriving without her. That long string of curse words? Classic narcissistic rage. She couldn't manipulate you, so she resorted to childish outbursts before storming off. And that was her final act. Her attempt at alimony was just another power move. She knew she had no case. You never lived off her family's money. That was her trying to punish you for moving on. When you stood firm and called her bluff, she backed off. That's the difference between someone with a real case and someone playing games. The clean break equals the best outcome. No ongoing legal battles. No unnecessary drama. Just complete freedom. Your future is looking bright. Throwing yourself into work was the best way to channel all that energy into something productive. Now, you're on the brink of a promotion and, most importantly, you're finally feeling relieved and free. This isn't just a divorce, it's a rebirth. You've gotten rid of the emotional baggage, the toxicity, and the exhausting cycle of trying to please someone who never appreciated you. What's next? Keep thriving. Enjoy your new sense of independence and peace. Surround yourself with people who truly support you. Your family and friends have been rock solid. Keep them close. Stay focused on your goals. Whether it's your career, personal growth, or even just enjoying life again, this is your time. At the end of the day, you dodged a bullet. And while Veronica is stuck dealing with the mess she created, you're moving forward stronger than ever. That's the ultimate win. Well done.